eyes too, basically. And if you get in, you know, your film is great. If you don't get in, you know, you keep on trying. But you know, nine wives don't have to keep on trying. So in the meantime, between time, why don't y'all download that right now, man? Click the link in the pinned comment and download it. In the meantime, between time, watch the trailer.
Good evening, messenger. You convinced us that you were the last messenger. How many other bastard children do you have?
15 to be exact. 15 to be exact. Welcome to the show, y'all. I appreciate you, man. Click the link, man. Go download that, man. We close to 2,000, man. We just over 1,900, man. We getting closer and closer to 2,000. Next stop is 3,000, then 4,000, and then we'll be solid, man. Thank you guys in advance, man. You guys have been awesome supporting the project. And Champion Heart's guest agreed to come on. She'll be on tonight. She's a lawyer. Her name is Aikisha, and Aikisha speaks, and we're gonna have a great time with her. And I had some. Oh yeah, a lot is going on in boxing today. Y'all DM me that Donald Trump was going to be a speaker at somebody's fight this weekend. What's the name of that? Oh man. Evander Holyfield. He's fighting some guy, Victor somebody. I'm like, that's, people see that as big news, but honestly, I grew up on Donald Trump doing fights. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's not really big news to me. It's like he's getting back into all these avenues into where he can keep his name in the news. So I grew up on Mike Tyson, Donald Trump, and Don King. So it's not really, it doesn't really move me, you know. I'm not buying it. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. And Brandon Figueroa, another PBC fight canceled because of COVID. I don't know, man. Is it the budget or is it COVID, man? You know what I mean? We'll see. But in the meantime, between time, Aikisha is in the building. Aikisha Speaks is in the building. Welcome to the show. All these degrees in the background.
I got me up in the night. It's midnight over here. I'm on the East Coast.
Welcome to the show. Thank you
for having me. The pleasure is mine.
So I was trying to find a topic, and one of your more polarizing videos that I saw was your brother Polight video, and so I titled the show, "Why do Black men protect and celebrate?" You know, basically people who are bad in our community. You know, and we can go anywhere you want with it, but welcome to the show. So you're a lawyer. So before we get into the topic, let's inspire a few people. You're a lawyer.
I am.
Why, how, who, what, where, when, why, and how?
Okay. All right. So I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, Southside Jamaica, Queens, to be specific.
So you knew 50. You and 50 got something going on?
No, I don't got nothing going on with 50. But he's from my hood. He's from South Jamaica, but he's not from my projects.
Okay, gotcha.
Right? So I'm not, you know, I'm not casting any dispersions, but he ain't from my project.
Okay.
He's from Southside.
Okay.
I'm from 40 Projects. It's a project in Southside, like Baisley Projects, where Nicki Minaj is from. It's not far from the projects I grew up in.
Okay.
Right, so I grew up there. I am an attorney here. I was a prosecutor first before I became a defense attorney. I was a prosecutor in Manhattan for 5 years, and I left Manhattan in 2006. I've been a criminal defense attorney since then. I also am an adjunct professor. I also am a legal informationalist out on the social media streets. I'm an author. More important than anything I've said, I'm a mom. Right? I have 2 sons. One will be 26 this month, and my other one will be 18 in November.
And you're in phenomenal shape. Fitness competitions and working out and weight training, body weight training, and you know,
yes,
and all that. So what's your handicap? By the way, what's your handicap?
36. I'm going with the universal. I'm not like, you know, I'm not a crazy golfer. I'm out there though, at least twice a week. I'm always trying to get better though, you know. it's an animal.
I golfed one time in my life, and I didn't know who to fight, the person I was golfing with or the golf club. So I just said, you know what, I'm not gonna do this, man. I'm definitely, and it was a 9-hole par 3. I don't know how we made it to the end, but we did, and it was the most frustrating time of my life. So I said, I'm never doing this again. So
Salute to you for getting out there. I like to be in places traditionally where we are not.
Yeah, right.
That's one of them.
Right. Yeah. So what made you switch sides? You went from a blood to a Crip?
Basically. Well, listen, I am one of those people who believe that in order to do this work effectively, you have to know it from both sides.
Sure.
Right. So I started out as an investigator for the public defender's office while I was in law school. So I went to law school part-time at night. So instead of the 3 years typically that most people do, I did 4 years. Right.
Did you go to law school?
I went to New York Law School. I taught there for 5 years after I graduated as well. I taught there as an adjunct professor. I'm now teaching at a CUNY school on the undergraduate level.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Beautiful. So I got a personal question. How can we open up the Malcolm X files? What would that take?
An act of God. Things are intentionally and deliberately secreted
from
us because they don't want us to know the truth about a lot of things. And that's one thing in particular. And I know that you all I saw the trailer for the 9 Lives movie.
Yeah.
Hearkening to what you said in the very beginning, why is it that we coddle, these men when most of us know the activity that they are participating in, right? We turn a blind eye or a deaf ear because we think they have value in some other form. The same is true for Polight, right? Because people will say, I heard that, but the brother, he's speaking truth, or he dropping knowledge and this and that and the third thing. But at the same time, we can't do that as a people. We cannot do that. And we have to learn. Everything is not a conspiracy, right? Because the first thing that Black people think is like, oh, they're trying to take that brother down. Some brothers need to be taken down. Right? He's one of them. He's one of them. And to get our people to accept that is difficult. It's difficult.
Why the challenge? Why, if we're a God-fearing nation and we believe in God, spiritualities on some level, would you believe in African spirituality, Nation of Islam, Catholicism? Why, when you present the truth to people, they turn a blind eye to it?
We are traumatized people, and the truth is very subjective. Right? For us, the truth hasn't always been so black and white, right? And many times our truth has been distorted. We have been misled, run them up, bamboozled, right? And so we don't tend to just believe. And, we get these figures, we don't get a lot of them.
Right.
And we want to hold on to the ones that we think are good for our community.
Right.
And I started out that way. That's how I befriended Polight. I thought he had something positive to offer the community. And that I wasn't looking for your secrets. They just came to me. So that's how that ended. Yeah.
How do you see that trial, and what factual information do you have on that? On
the arrest?
Yes. You have like the actual paperwork and all that?
I've only read the police report. I've read the police report, which gives a pretty detailed account. I've seen one news recounting of it that was very detailed as well. I shared that on my Instagram. And so the details are, pretty salacious. That there was a woman that he obviously had some relationship with. This woman had a teenage daughter. Maybe there was some sort of strife between the daughter and the mom, and Polight injected himself into that relationship under the guise that he could mend it or make it better, right? And that's how he got the daughter alone. It was supposed to be under the pretense of taking the daughter to some club. Why would you be taking a 14-year-old to a club? A lot of this is questionable. And somehow they ended up at his hotel room because the club was closed and they were waiting for directions and or instructions to the next club. At which point he started to allegedly ply her with alcohol. She imbibed, she drank the alcohol, she became intoxicated, and she recounted that he attempted to put his penis in her mouth, things of that nature. At some point, she does pass out. She wakes up to him attempting to put his fingers down her throat, which caused some bruising around her mouth, which is what her mom noticed when she did come back home. Noticed that she had bruising on her mouth and that she was inebriated. Took her daughter to the emergency room, to the doctor, despite pleas from Polight saying, please don't do that. If you take her, you're going to ruin my career, pretty much ruin my life. She took her daughter anyway. They did a rape kit, which is standard when there's a sexual abuse assault. Rape kit is when they look for any type of bodily fluids, whether that is semen, spit, saliva, anything else, right? That can identify a person that might have some type of DNA in it. They recovered her clothing. They sent that stuff off to a lab. They found, I think, approximately 5 spots of material that could possibly contain DNA that was sent off to a lab. They then issued a warrant. Now, this happened between May and the arrest in August, right? So this didn't just happen one at a time, right away. It took some time. They then issued a warrant for Polight to come in and give a DNA sample, which he did. They then compared his DNA to the samples recovered from the girl and said that there was a match, which is the predicate for the arrest warrant that they issued, which required him to come surrender himself. He then was charged formally and then got a bail, which he paid. And now he'll go back and forth to court until, they either have a trial or the case is resolved in some other manner, right? It could be dismissed. It could be the girl doesn't want to come forward. It could be the evidence. There's some questionable information about the mom. Maybe the mom saved his semen from when they had an intercourse and she spread it on the daughter. Like, this is the dumb shit that could possibly happen, right? But this, these are what defense attorneys do. They raise doubt. That's their job, right? And doubt can come from anywhere. And so, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out. But I haven't forgotten that he comes from the Malachi York camp. Goddamn, and the apple don't fall far from it doesn't fall far from the tree.
No, you're absolutely right. What was his response in the police report? Did he say anything?
No, he didn't say anything. He actually had an attorney. The attorney did a little blurb on the news, which was probably not advisable. But he basically said, he looks forward to his day in court, and he maintains his innocence, the shit that you say. And we'll see how it plays out in court. But he called up Sonetta's show shortly after it went public. I think that shortly after Tasha K blew him up. He called into the show, but he said nothing. He did the whole, how this go, God, how it is, bro. The talking points, which sort of fuels, those people who want to say, yeah, right, bro. We know what it is. We know they only coming after you because you have reached a certain status or level or whatever may have you, without contemplating that maybe it's because this person actually committed a crime.
Right.
I don't know what's happening on my computer. Yeah. Maybe this person committed a crime. It's not above him. Well, we've been there. I've shown the receipts.
Right. And what take us all the way back, speaking to the audience. What was your affiliation and or connection with Brother Polight?
So I got a call from somebody in Polight's camp. It was his uncle, right? Who was a friend of mine. And I'm a legal informationalist. So I'm always trying to educate people about what your rights are, what you should do in a certain situation, right? I'm gonna give you information and you govern yourself accordingly. I never give advice, right? Because the vice attached to liability. I give information. I don't remember particularly what was going on at the time, but he introduced me to both Polight and Sonetta to talk about just, legal information in the community. I've been on the red couch. I've done Sonetta's show. I think I've done it, I want to say 2 or 3 times. Just talking about the law in general. And a lot of times we talked about sovereign citizens and the fringes on the flag and try to dispel some of these myths that are out there about how you could beat cases. If you just pretend you're not a person and don't even get me started.
I'm
So
real interested in that. I have that in my notes about sovereign citizens, but
yeah,
continue.
right. Destroy man and none, and So I would go on those shows and talk about that as well. And in the course of those interactions, I met Polight, and he at that time, I believe, him and Victoria had been stopped in L.A. For something. I don't recall all the specifics, but I recall we did a show and talked about the law and things of that nature. But that's pretty much all of it went. But the fact that I had been on his platform, I felt that when people started to come to me and say, hey, I sent this man money and he didn't respond. I sent this man money. I sent this man money.
Wow.
To the point where there were people, and one gentleman in particular, who had sent Polight upward of $70,000, which he had gotten from. That's not the largest amount.
What?
I know, right? I know it's unfathomable, right? But I got the receipts.
What is he? I'll let you know. We'll go back.
Yeah. So this young man, his fiance, had received a inheritance after her grandfather passed away, and it was $70,000 of that they sent to Polight under the pretense that he was going to teach them how to get off the clock, right? How to get off the 9 to 5 train, how to be independent, how to be autonomous, everything that you want as an individual, right? To not have to be beholden to the white man's check every week or every 2 weeks. The shit that sounds good. And they thought that they were investing, and he took the money and he ran. And then he became unavailable, which is his pattern, right? So he would be wholly available until the money came. I think there's another young man also that I was in touch with. He lost over $100,000 to Polight. Also, this was an inheritance from his father, right? And that's not to include. I mean, not to. I would say not to discount all of the other people who sent the $15 and the 20s and the $100 and $150 and the $3,500. There were a lot of those, right? 5,000, 7,000 here, 10,000 there. I knew one guy who sold his car so he could invest with Polight, to send this money to Polight, because he really believed in this program that he was claiming would teach you how to do liens and teach you how to buy gold and teach you how to leverage this, that, and the third thing, when he really didn't have the know-how. He didn't have that. He didn't have what he was offering. And so once the money was there, he got ghosts. Oh, I'm getting on a plane. My phone died. My father died again. As you know, it was like, how many times can someone's father die? How many fathers you got? Like, come on, man. And it became apparent that it was a problem. And so when I reached out to him about the first young man, he was a little defensive about it. And I was like, listen, bro, there's really no defense here. You took this man money. You don't have a contract. This is not how you do business.
Wow.
Right. So we came together. I drew up an agreement that him and his wife, Amanetta, signed.
Wow.
To pay this young man his money back. Sort of a payment arrangement. So he started paying the money back. He would send it, once a month. He was supposed to send whatever the amount was. I don't recall at the time. And he did that for a couple of months. And then again, he got missing. Oh, I'm here. I'm there. I'm traveling. I don't have my phone. Come on. Money is electronic right now.
Right.
Like, everybody has electronic funds. So I don't care where you're traveling. I don't care. If you can receive an email, you can send money. Right. So if you can go live, you can send money. And so, so it was a lot of that. It was a lot of that. And, I went live. I did several videos that are on my YouTube channel, my Aikisha Speaks YouTube channel, and I'm not the most adept with the technology and everything. So I did my best what I could, but to show all of the receipts, to show all of the text messages between those people talking to him, begging and pleading with him. There was a woman in Baltimore. She was pregnant. gave this man the last of her money, thinking she would get this in return so she could have money for her baby. Took that, skated. And and it was just story after story after story. It was people who were like, my mom sent him money, right? I mean, the fact that he's still walking around is still, I'm still like, I don't even know how that happens, but folks ain't built like they was when I was coming up. It was a whole different time back then.
That's simply amazing because you're running off probably hundreds of stories. It appears to me. Is there like a federal case that people can conjure up, or is it just civil?
On one of my YouTube links, I have all of the links where you can report if you have been a victim. I have personally reported him. I have spoken to FBI agents about him, and I know that he's under investigation, but that's all they will tell me.
Wow.
And that's all I want to know, right? I'm a criminal defense attorney at the end of the day. The last thing the feds are going to do is feed me information.
Right.
So I've given them as much information as I could with the proof and the receipts that I have. But you got to understand that there are victims in different jurisdictions, right? So you got victims in Baltimore, you got victims in New York, you got so that those are different jurisdictions that have to deal with that, different U.S. attorneys' offices that have to deal with that, unless they're going to bring some type of case where they consolidate all of that. So it's going to take time.
Right.
All these cases take time. Look at R. Kelly trial. They bring the shit from 99. From 99. So in 94, Aaliyah. So when people are like, what about Polight? What about Polight? I'm just be patient. Just wait. Just wait, because when the feds come, they come, and they don't play when they come. They're not coming with a half a deck. They want to make sure that their case is rock solid. So let them wait. Wow. Wait, because right now, not knowing what's going to happen with this Florida case, but this could be a federal case, right? Because I don't know where that girl lives. I don't know where this 14-year-old girl lives. If you brought her into the state for the purpose of having sex with a minor, that is a federal crime. That's a federal crime.
Ouch, ouch. And do you know the details on Jay Morrison as well? Do you know that?
I don't know any details other than he's a street dude that's trying to do something that other people haven't done before. I mean, I've seen some of his videos here and there, but I'm not a big follower. I did invest in that, and I did get a check with my dividends. So what can I say?
Right.
I mean, I put my little money in there, and I got a dividend check. That usually is how it works. So something seems legit to me. I don't know. If not, I think the SEC would be in his ass.
Right.
They are. It's hard to tell.
Right.
I mean, I know that they did the investigation. I know that they were investigating him at one point when it came to the crowdfunding. Right. I don't know that it got shut down. I still got my dividend check.
Right.
That it was, people have to understand, and I think that's another problem, is that Black, traditionally we kept our money under the mattress. Right. So this concept of investing is new to us, and we don't understand that you have to invest for the long term. You're not getting money back right away, and I think that people don't know how to manage their expectations when it comes to some of this. Right? You think I'm gonna put $1,000 in, I'm getting rich. He said it's gonna be millions. It's going to be millions, right? It's going to be millions collectively, not individually, right? And you'll get a piece of that as a dividend, which is not going to turn into a lot of money right away. Right. These things have to grow. Right. You look at Warren Buffett, you think that stock, the Berkshire Hathaways, it took time to get there. It took time for Elon Musk's stock to get where it is. All of these stocks take time to develop and grow. Right? They might have some jumps here and there, some surges here and there, but it's still a long time type of investment tool that you have to do. And I don't think that Black people have the temperament for that. And I think that that's part of why there is so much backlash with respect to the fund that he started for the crowdfunding. But other than that, listen, I pay attention, and I am a spiritualist. You mentioned that before. I'm a spiritualist, and a lot is hitting his family. right? When you think about spiritual warfare, uh, he was attacked physically in his body. His wife has been attacked physically in her body, and now their baby is being attacked physically in their body, in her
Really?
body.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, their baby is undergoing surgery.
What? That's
Yeah,
awful.
yeah. Sad to have surgery. I think he posted that the other day.
Oh man.
Right. So those things make you wonder, right? Because everything happens just as it should,
Right, right.
right? And so what's the cause?
Mm,
What's the cause of this effect?
mm. What's your uh project that you would like to just tackle?
Mm. Wow. Oh God. It's so many. I don't have any one project. I would say the thing that stands out most to me right now
Uh-huh.
is reaching young people. From
Mm.
something in God Brewer and such a Lord said Queen Pig. That's my hood. All right, represent. I appreciate you, C's. Um, right now, I think that our young men
Mhm.
and women are incredibly lost. They are so incredibly lost. I mean, as a criminal defense attorney, and I get these cases. I get the cases, the sweep cases, I get the wiretaps, and I read this shit, and I'm like, y'all, look, how many times I gotta tell y'all? You don't have no privacy on the phone. You don't have no privacy on the internet. You think you got privacy in your DMs, and you talking about buying guns?
Mm,
It's like they don't understand that the enemy does not look like you.
mm,
That's the issue I have. Y'all shooting at each other. Y'all don't recognize that you have a common enemy. You playing right into the game. Because when they do these investigations, God, the shit that really gets me is they let these investigations go on for years. They know these kids is out there banging. At any point, y'all could take an investigation down and stop tomorrow's murder. But that's not how it works. We just listen, and we gonna keep listening. We gonna keep listening until what? Till the budget run out? Because it's not about whether or not how many people died during the course of this investigation. It's not how many drugs were sold, right? Because y'all facilitating that shit.
mm.
It's frustrating. So that's part of it. I don't ever want to push our kids far away from us. I always want to just pull them closer. And I think we are pushing them further and further away, right? We just push them away. We don't think them kids, they out their mind. They not. They our products. If they rotten in the tree, right? Can we own this shit? Because
Right.
they came from us. They came from us. So if they bad apples, that's on us. That's on us. And we got to do better than that. It's us. We have to do something. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that looks like. I really don't know what and how to reach them. And I've been a part of enough, stop the violence, the interrupters, I've done all of that shit, right? And for a few minutes, we ain't had no shootings this week, but that's only a week out of 52 weeks. That's not enough. That's not enough. I would love to get to the point where our Black men, when they see each other, they see themselves. I would love to get there. I would love to get there. But I think before they could see each other, they got to love themselves. And we don't have that. They're not loving themselves. If you loved yourself, you would not be able to kill somebody that looked like you and not let it, not, and it don't mean nothing to you. And it don't mean nothing. I mean, it's frustrating because I got to look at the autopsy photos. I
Oh,
got to look at the reports at who picked the body up, who picked up the clothes. I got to look at that shit. Who signed for the clothing that he had on when he was killed? I'm reading that. I'm looking at that.
mm,
That shit is heavy.
wow.
It's heavy. It's heavy. It is burdensome. And then I got to go defend another young Black man who's accused of killing a Black man.
Mm,
I got to sit across from a family that's looking at me like I'm the devil incarnate because I'm representing this person who they believe took their family member. That shit is hard. That's hard. And I've had one experience. I had a murder trial in Queens. Young man home from college, shot in the head.
Oh.
Arrested my client. My client was 5'6". He was with his friend at the time. His friend was 5'11". The friend testified that the shooter was the same height as he was. The police had my client sit down in the lineup so that the person who was identifying him wouldn't see his height discrepancy, wouldn't see that he was only 5'6". He certainly couldn't have been a shooter if the shooter was 5'11".
Wow.
Right? And so he was acquitted. He was acquitted. Now, for the family, justice has been denied.
Yeah.
Right? I'm on a golf course, right? Maybe a year after this trial. And I'm invited by a friend of mine, and I happen to go to this outing, and it's all cops. All black cops. I don't know none of them. I'm like, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? I see the PBA shit. I'm like, fuck, I'm in enemy territory.
Uh-oh. Your volume went out. Your volume went out. I'm gonna beam you out and just beam back in. You got the link? I'm gonna beam you out and beam back in. Y'all can hear me. So we got the truth coming in. As soon as she finished this segment, I didn't want to break her up. Then I'll bring you in. Then we got Terrence Bailey coming in. Man, I was in the middle of a great story. So we got the truth and Terrence Bailey. Once she get finished with this, I was like, what's going on? I want to hear it. All right, you back?
I don't know. Am I?
Yeah. So they had the PBA logos. They had the PBA logos.
Yes, they had the PBA logo, which of course I'm like, I'm in enemy territory. It's hostile country, right? But they were cool. And then one cop was like, I know you. Now I'm like, okay, hey, right? You know me from where? You know me from being a former prosecutor. You know me from YouTube. I don't know what that means. You know me from the projects. Where you know me from? He's like, you had a trial. Matter of fact, he's like, come walk with me. Now I'm like, shit about to get serious. We walked to the side. He's like, you had a trial. The victim's name was so-and-so. He ran it down. I was like, yeah, I remember that case. The client was acquitted. He was like, yeah, the kid, his father's right over there. His father was a golfer with that group, the deceased young man's dad. So immediately, I offer to leave because I know my presence alone, right? You're the dad. You were at the trial every day. My presence alone is going to bring all of that shit back up. I'm leaving. I don't even want to be the source of your pain, right? He's like, no, don't leave. I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm a mom. I buried the son. I know that shit. I don't want to do that, right? So he was like, no, don't leave. So I was like, okay. Group goes, I tee off. We at the first hole. Here comes dad in the golf cart, coming up to me. Now I'm like, fuck, man, right? Because how is this gonna go? You know what I mean? I don't know this man's temperament. I don't know how he's gonna be to me, right? So he comes up to me, and I all I say is, and I turn to him, and I say, I'm sorry for your loss, and I hope that you know that my work, that's my work, that's not who I am. I don't want you to confuse the two. And he said, you don't have anything to apologize. You did your job, and you did it well. And he gave me a hug, and we both dissolved into tears. It was one of those moments, right, where I had this awareness that the work that I do, as burdensome as it is as meaningful, right? And I think on some level, I was able to let that, I was able to have some closure myself in knowing that there's not a family that hates me somewhere because I did my job well, right? And just in that moment, realizing that there are people who possess a graciousness that you may never possess, right? I may never be that gracious, but that example taught me that it exists, right? And so maybe at some point in my life, when I'm challenged, I'll remember the grace he showed me, right? And extend it in the same way, right? But so those things don't happen often.
Right.
Those exchanges don't happen often. You seldom run into a family, right, and have an opportunity to have some closure in that moment. That just doesn't happen often, really. Right.
We got two people want to ask you questions. You mind taking a couple
Sure,
questions?
sure. Bring it on. Bring it on.
All right. We got the truth coming in. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, sis. How are you? I'm great.
Oh, I'm wonderful. Um, what I wanted to demonstrate was I heard you speaking about the violence, and in my opinion, it was coming from a professional point of view. And I just wanted to share a point of view from the hood, from a household where the violence stems from. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, my brother, who was shot and killed in gang violence in Chicago on 63rd Street, by the time he was 13, I think he may have shot and killed maybe 5 people. Okay. Just this past summer, I was participating in a gang rally where, mothers, we fight against gang violence on 63rd. And there was a boy that was there. He was so young, but I was just so attached to him. So when it was over, I said, Shorty, what's your name? Who are you with from? And he said, I come from somewhere, but my father come from 63rd. I said, who is your father? And he say his name is blank. So instantly, I'm knowing my brother shot and killed. So I had to share with this young man the story of what actually happened. I told him how much I love him, how much I'm sorry. And he and I were both there together fighting against gang violence. So I tried my best to encourage him. Now, coming from a household where gang violence was like crazy, a lot of those young boys in these big cities, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, people don't admit it. And I might step on some toes, but these boys are wards of the state. A lot of these boys belong to the Department of Children and Family Services. They all live through. My brother is locked away somewhere at a children's youth detention, something somewhere on the outskirts of Illinois. I'm speaking to him every day on the phone because that's my brother. And so I'm speaking to him on the phone while and one day he's at the door.
Your audio is going in and out.
Say it again. One day what?
One day he knocks on my door.
Okay.
And he's supposed to be in jail. So I called the facility. Hello, can I speak to Chaz Williams? Oh, he's sleeping right now. And the good stories. I did not tell him that he was standing next to me because I felt like they should have knew. And from that moment on.
Chaz Williams from New York?
No, this is from Chicago.
Okay.
63rd Street.
Okay.
So from that moment on, I always look at leadership with a side eye. You understand what I'm saying? And so by me looking at leadership with the side eye, I gang bang when it come down to the elections. I'm out there gang banging like real talk. When it comes down to the elections. You know what my alderman told me?
What?
He told me that he does not, after he's elected in, He does not pay any attention to the areas that are poverty stricken because they don't vote. They only focus on the areas where the people vote. And everything on 63rd in Chicago is poverty stricken, from Cottage Grove all the way down to California.
Mm-hmm.
That stretches for miles and miles and miles and miles. We can look at parents all we want, but there's leadership set in place to provide resources for parents, or at least there is supposed to be. So leadership is a problem in all of America, in every city. Leadership is a problem. Anywhere where you see gang violence, you know that there's a leader somewhere that does not belong. And I just kind of wanted to share that with you all. I apologize for getting so sentimental.
That's all right. Listen, we all got our struggles, we all got our perspectives, but understand I'm from the hood.
Yeah.
I get it, right? But what I need you and everyone else to understand is that when them kids get into the system, it's not going to be somebody from the hood that's listening and understanding that they came from a gang home.
Yeah.
It's going to be some white girl
Yes.
who just graduated from law school, who is like, well, these black kids are in gangs, right? She not going to understand none of that.
Talk to me.
None of that. This is part of the struggle that I have when I'm talking to white prosecutors, because I then have an opportunity to tell them something that they don't know. Listen, I've been there. I've been in the crack house. I bagged up drugs. I dated the drug dealers. I was trying to get them 5411s. I remember all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I get that. But at the same time, I also understand that leadership doesn't have to be defined by who has these things on the wall, right? Because the leaders in my hood back then was the ones that was slinging the rocks, the ones that had the drug, was doing the drug dealings and what. Those was the leaders at the time, right? But they still set us straight. We had a code back then. Shit was different. This is what I'm saying. Shit was different back then. Even the gangs, the way they operated was different than they operate now. All of this shit is different.
I can to a Chicago police officer right now and buy any kind of drug you want.
Listen, you're not surprising me, sis.
Yeah.
Right? You're probably not surprising nobody. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because the people that are charged with enforcing the law are the ones that break it the most. Because who gonna come arrest them?
Come on.
Right? Who calling them when they had a drug party? Ain't nobody. Who testing them? Nobody. Right? So I get it. I get it, but we can't surrender our responsibility to our community. You know what I'm saying? We can't be waiting for people to come give us shit. It's a lot of people that got a lot of shit. They got stuff. They got money. They got tangible. They got property, and they still dysfunctional.
Come on.
It's not gonna be an infuse of money into our community, because we still don't know what to do with that money. When we get it, we spend it right out of our community. How many times does a dollar circulate in our community? It doesn't. It doesn't. You got the Jewish community, a dollar circulates 9 times, 11 times before it goes out of the community. Our black dollars circulate half a time, 1 time. As soon as you get that shit, it's out your pocket. We don't have any sense of community. We just don't. We don't have any sense of responsibility for each other. Everybody's on this individual shit. I didn't grow up like that. I grew up in a community where it was somebody looking out the window all the time. It wasn't your grandmother. It might not have been your aunt. But guess what? Somebody was watching. And they was telling it. It wasn't none of that stop snitching and no, somebody snitched on you bullshit. Okay? Somebody saw you doing some shit and they called your grandmother and they told her. I know, because I got in trouble many times. And if I got my ass whooped because the person who caught me whooped my ass, by the time I got home, I got another ass whooping. Because I had to put that person through all that trouble whooping my ass. And you got this, so you got Miss over here whooping your ass. Now I'm going to whoop your ass again.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? All of that sense of community, that sense of I'm going to check your kid because I can. Right? And then something happened. Something happened. You can't check a person's kid no more. What? You ain't my mom. We never said that.
Grandma died.
You have a whole fist down your throat.
Yeah, grandma
We
died.
never said that. My son had a friend over for dinner the other day. He had a hat on in my fucking house. He had a hat on in my house. That shit was not allowed when I was a kid, right? And we didn't have shit. I still took the note to the neighbor. Grandma need to borrow $10 just till she get paid next week. We still had to borrow. We still needed credit. Shit still was tight. I still had food stamp. We didn't have a lot, right? So it's not, the poverty is part of it, but that's not going to be the remedy, because we still could come up. I came out of nothing. I came from nothing. Both of my parents was addicts. Both of them. My dad did his bid. That's when he got clean. But not till I was a grown-ass woman. My whole life. You know what my dad said to me about heroin? He was like, "Kid, don't ever try this shit, because you'll love it." He didn't do none of that fuck shit that parents be doing. Don't try this. It'll kill you. It'll destroy your life. Nah, because that don't scare kids.
Yeah.
Right? Don't try this shit, because you will fucking love it. That shit scared me to death.
I most appreciate our conversation. I really, really do. I most certainly appreciate it. You know, I can't do.
You got to bring your phone to you because it's cutting off the audio.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I can't tell you how many times we, as a group, would go to the police department.
Oh.
We would go to the police department and we would tell them, R. Kelly used to come in our hood, and we'll go to the police. One of the officers called me a bitch. Told me to get the F out of his face on 9th and Racine. There was another young lady, and I'm going to let you guys go because I got to work in the morning. But there was another young lady. Her name was Jakara Barnes. She was one of my friend's daughter who I graduated with. And she was killed in gang violence. And the word in the hood was that she was responsible for shooting quite a few people, at least 20 people. And her information was sold to Lifetime, and they did a documentary on her. They had everybody in the hood in the documentary. So we at the station, the police station, asking how they get this information. Who was locked up, when they was locked up, people sitting on the porch, you know, how they get this information. So we petitioned. Somebody sold our information because they had information that they should not have had. No one person gave it to them.
Right.
It had to come from an administrator. You understand what I'm saying?
They probably did a FOIA request. So
I say that to say we dealing with bad leadership, and I just pray to my God that he's bringing up a blessed nation. I pray to my God that he's bringing up a blessed nation.
Listen, I respect all religions, but Black people have been praying for God to get us out of this situation for a long time, sis. And I just don't, I don't want you to be waiting, I don't bear witness to no mystery God. I never have. And I just, if we don't do it, it ain't getting done.
We got to do it.
We got to do it.
We got to. You do it on your end, and I'm damn sure gonna do it.
When I grew up, we had tenant patrols. We had tenant patrols. You take a shift. This your community. What? We can't bring that back. You take a shift. Everybody in this fucking community takes a shift. That means you're gonna walk around. You can walk around the community, making sure ain't nobody doing nothing they ain't supposed to be doing. This is your community. We're not calling 50. We're not calling 12.
Yeah.
We right here.
We right here.
We gotta organize.
We gotta organize.
Men in our community, stand up, walk around, be present.
Yes.
Be present and be actively present, because there are people who are there, but they're not present.
Yeah.
We can do this. We have the ability. We have done it before. We just got to galvanize.
We will. We will.
We will.
We will.
And we're
going to leave it at that. We will.
All right. All right, peace, sis. You stay safe.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye.
All right, we got Terrence Bailey on the beam. Thank you. Go ahead,
So
Terrence.
and I apologize. I'm a cursor, and that's just the way it is.
We in the shop. Good.
I'm cussing. I know a lot of words though. Okay.
Good morning, family. How y'all doing?
Hey, we good.
Yeah, good evening. Peace.
How you doing?
I'm great.
Although the first thing I want to say, when you use religion to try to justify strength or anything like that, you know what I'm saying? The first thing I want to say is, you know what I'm saying, Cain killed Abel, and the disciples were asleep when Jesus was arrested. So when you try to look at the people that you think will be close to you, expect them to fail. Don't look at them as if they're gonna get your back, because especially if they Christians, because if they Christians, then the person that you look to, his own people failed him. They
Okay,
didn't re- they,
I want to understand your point,
they,
brother.
they didn't realize his they didn't realize the point until he gave up the ghost on the cross, and then they got the point. By that time, you know what I'm saying, it was what it was. But when you said that you was talking about Polight, I've been waiting a while. So you talking about Polight and Umar Johnson and all this kind of stuff or whatever. I've been fighting Umar Johnson for years. Umar Johnson as claimed to be a member of my family for a long time. He named his school, his whole thing, after my family.
Mm.
We just unveiled a mural to Uncle Frederick, in the oldest African American community in the United States, just this past Saturday.
Okay.
And there's people that got videos out right now on that saying, we don't see Umar nowhere. I'm like, of course you're not. That nigga ain't related to us. So you talk about fraud individuals and people out here taking money from people on fraud context, doing BS in the black community. And we got people in our community that's not using personal common sense to look at this individual and and know, like, hey man, this dude ain't right. I shouldn't give my money. I shouldn't give my time. I damn sure should not give my intellect. And I should not be following this individual. You know, we got like the equivalent of a Trump cult going on in a black community
Mm-hmm.
with these individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And until we figure this out, you know what I'm saying, we just as lost as these white extremists. You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of bull, man. I've been saying this for the last 7 years. And actually, man, I'm tired. You know, I walked away from it. I got tired of fooling with the Afro Spengalis, the Nappy Yankees,
The hoteps.
all these Negroes, man. I'm sick of it.
No,
I'm sick of it.
I feel you. I feel you.
I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? When I started my podcast, it was like, well, man, how come we're not talking about Umar Johnson? I'm like, man, you know what? I can go viral talking about Umar Johnson, but for what? Why am I talking about this crusty ass Negro for? Why? To get views? I'm better than that.
Mm-hmm.
My family legacy is better than that. This dude is garbage. He's trash. I put trash out front to be picked up. What the hell am I going to talk about him for? So I refuse to talk about him on my platform. And anybody comes to my platform and they want to discuss him, I block them.
I hear that.
So I just want to say that, sister. Appreciate what you're doing. Fred, thanks for the time. I want to get up. Yo, you know me. I had to get off my chest. I'm sick. I'm sick of these individuals, man. With this, talking about this fat bastard. You know what I'm saying? This dude is not a Bailey. He's not this Polight stuff. All these guys, man. I'm telling you, man. All the dudes that I know that are real conscious, you don't know their name. You don't know their name. All the dudes that are real conscious out here doing the work, that's out here in the Sankofa schools and stuff like that, that's teaching and all kind, you don't know them.
Right.
Because they doing the work. They don't want you to know. They don't need for you to know them.
Right.
You don't know them because they're too busy working.
Mm-hmm.
These other dudes are seeking attention, like some broke hoes, bunch of broke whores. They need attention because they want money. Polight, how the hell you getting donations for shit and you riding around in a Rolls? You live off donations. And you riding in a Rolls. And in us, the black community, you see this nigga in a Rolls hanging with Floyd Mayweather, and you give them donations, and you don't see this. So who's the fool? Is it him or is it you?
Hmm.
It's you, because you give them damn money. It's you. You the damn fool.
Let me just say this.
You putting gas in that Rolls.
But let me just interject, because we don't want to blame the victims here, right? Because we are a traumatized people, and I can't blame people for wanting to have hope. And that's what he capitalized on, the trauma of our people and the desperation in trying to get out from under this 9 to 5, this rat race, selling the dream of autonomy and being self-made, right? So I can't blame them.
Sister, there's hope and then there's common sense. There's hope and there's common sense. No. I blame them. There's hope and then there's common sense.
It's relative, brother. It's relative, right? It's
there's
relative.
Hope and there's common sense. No.
Desperation will outweigh all common sense. When you feel like this is your last shot at doing something, this is the last opportunity. You finally been able to get on the phone with this man. Some people think that he's a celebrity, right? So to have access.
They fools, though. They fools.
That might be the case. You might see it differently. But in that moment, right, they're starstruck, and they just believe with everything they have. I'm not going to blame the victims, because I know how manipulative Polight is. I know how slick he is with the tongue. Right? And so I know that my people, not all of my people are that dumb or that easily or that gullible. Is far too many of them for me to just chalk it off as that everybody here just doesn't have common sense. That's not it. We got to put the blame where the blame lies, on the person who used the people who were desperate. That person who saw opportunity in our community and raped us. That person. I'm not putting that shit on nobody else. I'm just gonna push back on that just a little bit.
I got you. I appreciate the time, though.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
All right.
Peace.
You got time for one more? You got time for one more? He was the gentleman that taught me about you, and less than 2 or 3 weeks later, you're on the show. He might be on one knee. I'm not sure, but he might be on one knee.
Hey, I'm so glad that you're here to see us, sister. I've been following you for a while. I don't know. Can you hear me? I got a lot of noise. You know, I'm working right now, so I got a lot of noise going on.
We hear you. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. I've been following you for a while, and you know, I just really, you know, appreciate your knowledge. You know, I appreciate all the things that you do, you know, in educating us, because, you know, we need that.
Mm-hmm.
And you are very special. I wanted to ask you one question. What do you feel about grassroots organizations? Because it seems that these so-called political entities don't care about us. You know, I was listening to the sister from my hometown of Chicago, and she's absolutely right. You know, you have aldermen that don't care. They look like us, but they don't. But they don't care. You know, the first time that I was called a nigger was by a Chicago police officer. So the sister is absolutely right with what's going on in Chicago. I try to explain to people that, you know, what you're seeing, you know, in Chicago is being allowed.
Right.
You know, because those areas are under surveillance. They know exactly what's going on. You see the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I wanted to ask you, you know, what you thought about the only way trying to change this is starting grassroots organizations. Do you think that we need to go that way to create some type of change?
I think it's a great question, and I am 1,000% behind grassroots movement. I think that we have to understand that the federal government is one entity, but every state is a separate sovereign. And so if we can affect change on a local level, then that will trickle up. We are waiting for things to trickle down. Right? So grassroots means that we get people to run for alderman, run for city council, run for the district attorney. You know how many times the district attorney in Queens ran unopposed? Do you know what that means? That means that ain't nobody coming out to vote. He don't even have to put money in a campaign. This was the first election in Queens since Richard Brown died that there was actually a contest. But for some odd 20 years, he's just running roughshod. And it's the same like that. We've got people that are entrenched in these positions, and we don't have anyone to run against them. We don't have anyone to put this. So these grassroots movements are exceptional for that, for galvanizing the people on a local level so that they understand the power in the local vote. A lot of people don't even know who their state senator, who their state representative is. You didn't even go to the state election. You probably didn't even know when it was, right? Because you're too busy focused on the presidential election, and that shit does not affect you. It doesn't have an immediate effect on you. But your state representative, your city council, how that money, the budget for the city is going to get spent, all of that. That is definitely something that grassroots movements can affect. And yes, I think that's a great way to galvanize people to affect change locally.
Yes, most definitely. You know, like I said, sister, I really appreciate you, you know, being here. I love your spirit. I love the fact that you take care of yourself. You know, I've seen some of your competition pics, and I see how you train, and that's important. You know, the body is a temple. You know, and that's very important that you do that.
I get no younger.
Yeah, most definitely. Man, I hate that I'm not home where I can actually, you know, zoom in and you know, and talk to you. But you know, that avatar that you're looking at, that's me. Those arms are real.
Okay.
All right. All right. So I'm gonna be sliding your DMs.
Do that.
All right. Thanks again, sister. Thanks again. I really
she's
appreciate
in Queens, so you gotta fly into JFK. All right.
You know, my daughter is out there. She's out there. So that's what's up. That's what's up. All right, thanks again, sister. I appreciate it.
Gotta save the money on them tolls. You know what I'm saying? Going to
Right.
too far. Wait, it's JFK in Queens, right? Or LaGuardia? JFK. Okay, yeah,
JFK. Okay. That's right.
Yeah, appreciate you.
That's right. All right.
Appreciate you, E. Yeah, he's the residential gentleman. And I was uncertain if it was going to be the right knee or left knee, or else I would have told you. but yeah. So it's sad we got to go. But what PPD said you had a Malcolm X story that I've been itching to. She wouldn't tell me. She wouldn't tell me. You got to ask her. I'm like, no, you tell me.
This is a funny story because she said you had Malcolm X's daughter on.
Yes, I did.
So I had a client who his dad was a stagehand for Broadway shows, right? And so he would be in charge of the VIP section, letting people into a specific part that nobody else could get into to meet the actors and things of that nature. So he was on post one night, white guy, and he thought that I was Malcolm X's daughter, simply because my last name was Shabazz, not appreciating that he was Shabazz. A lot of people don't even appreciate that. This man calls me on FaceTime because Malcolm X's real daughter was actually trying to get into the venue, and he stopped her. And he was like, no, you are not Malcolm X's daughter. I'm calling her right now. This man had me on FaceTime. I was like, man, you better let her in there. I'm not Malcolm X's daughter. He's like, you're not? I was like, no, I'm not. Oh my God. I was like, that's his real daughter.
Right.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I need to apologize to her. I'm sure she probably remembers this. Because how often do you get people telling you, you're an impersonator? She probably does remember this, and I owe her an apology for that. So, yeah, that's my Malcolm X story. A lot of people always ask me, am I his daughter? I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, the Shabazz.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
In closing about the groups, I have questions about the groups because once a white liberal or a government agency makes a donation, it's no longer a movement. So I have my reservations about like grassroots organizations. I was gonna start one, and then I do this show every night, and I was like, it's too many personalities, it's too many groups in the Black community. I'm like, even if I go from a pure perspective, right? People won't believe me.
Right.
I gotta have that ism like Brother Polight. I gotta have a Bentley. I'm like, I can't just say what it is and you believe it.
Right. Because of our trauma, right? We, historically, we cannot just accept. We need to see more, unfortunately. But I think grassroots, it can work without having government money or group money, so to speak. If we can do crowdfunding, right? We can talk to people. It works. We can raise the money. Is there.
Yeah,
we have it. There. We have money. Look at the lines for the Jordans when they come out. We got money. We're just spending it on the wrong shit. Right? And we're not prioritizing. We're not saying this is important for our community because we're too focused on what's important for our individual selves. That's really what it's going to take. And it's going to take people like me who got these shits on the wall that's willing to risk and sacrifice these shits. Right? A lot of people who have them aren't. I'm one of them. I don't give a fuck about none of that. My community comes first. Right? So whatever it takes. But there are a lot of people who have those that are not of the same mind frame, unfortunately. And yeah, there will be a lot of different personalities and things of that nature, but that's always been the case. And that's never stopped us as a people from moving forward. Right? We just have to have our agenda straight. There's a lot of different fronts we can fight this war. So you pick one on a grassroots level. I think that's part of the problem is that people are trying to fight too many fronts at once. That's how you lose, right? That's the quickest way to lose is to try to fight too many fronts. You have to concentrate on one, whatever it is that you're good at, right? And we can have numerous grassroots organizations dealing with different issues in the community, right? You could be dealing with schooling. You could be dealing with nutrition. You could be dealing, because nutrition is important. I know people don't seem to get this, but nutrition is key. If you got kids that are malnourished, they will be maladaptive. They won't be able to function properly in school. They will have ADHD. They will be hyperactive because their nutrition is off, right? Nutrition is off. That will affect hormonal imbalances. You feeding your kids the wrong shit. You feeding little boys too much estrogen. right? All of that, right? So you might have a grassroots movement that deals with just that. If you dealing with just that, don't come over here talking about voting rights. You dealing with nutrition. That's your role. Stay there, right? And we can do that. We can do that collectively. We can. I know that we can.
Right.
You know, it just takes. It's gonna take a lot to get there.
Yeah.
I know. And it's exhausting even thinking about it.
It definitely is exhausting because when you look at, so since this is the two most polarizing groups and on this podcast, the Black Lives Matter movement was probably fiscally the most rewarding group that I've ever seen in my life. $90-something million,
Right.
some number that it was infiltrated. You get what I'm saying? And that money is gone. And then you look at the Nation of Islam, probably the most prominent today organization. It's infiltrated by government contracts. So, and I use the term infiltrated intentionally because once you start relying on that entity, how can you be 100% full throttle on your mission statement? And so I have.
Yeah, I agree.
So I struggle with that duality, like because I choose not to be a part of a group. You know, like I love the fact that I want what comes out of my mouth to stand alone. I don't want to be a leader. I just want this to be like a trampoline. I want this platform to be a trampoline, and everyone has their own independent voice. But when I see stuff like that happening, I'm like, how can we do it? Like we got $100 million in 1 year and it's gone. Oh, we could have went to the timberlands of Mississippi, Georgia, and built the whole entire city.
Yeah. And that's ultimately what we need to do. Ultimately, that's what we need to do. We need our own nation.
Right.
You know, I grew up 5%. Nation building was part of every rally, right? Every rally had nation building. That's what we need. We need nation building. So we grow our own foods. We build our own homes. We have our own stores, right? Just like Black Wall Street.
Right.
Bring it up to date. We can do that again. We can replicate that.
Right.
We can do that again. And some places they're doing it. They bought I think isn't in Georgia? I think there's one place they bought some land, right? And they're trying to do that. And we can do that. We can replicate that all over. But you got to give up some shit, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to give up some stuff. You're gonna have to give up your house. You might have to give up your nice car, right? Because it requires sacrifice. And how many people are willing to do that? Especially those people who worked so hard to get out of poverty, to get a little over the lunch money. The last thing they want to do is give that shit back.
Right.
And we need them.
Right.
We need them. Because often they are our lawyers, our doctors, our educators. We need them.
Right.
It's an uphill battle, you know? There are no easy solutions. There are no easy solutions. My goal is to keep fighting, right? Keep fighting these cases, one case at a time, and to keep informing people, right? As much as I can so that you can govern yourselves. Because information is everything now, which is why they try so desperately to control the narrative around everything, right? Everything, COVID to voting to the narrative has to be controlled by a certain segment of the population. As long as that's the case, we will always lose. We will always lose. That's another thing, which is I'm doing my small part. Is trying to give the information that is not readily available, that most people can't afford. Take it. The problem is that I can't make you govern yourselves a specific way, right? All I can do is ask you to share a video, right? But then the next week, I still get a call from a mom who's like, yeah, I took my son to the precinct. So you didn't see my video where I told you not to do that? You didn't watch When They See Us? You know how many parents haven't seen that? Black parents. I got a call the other day that there was a parent. The police brought the parent down to the precinct and showed the parent a video, and she's like, "Yeah, that's my son." Fuck are you identifying your son for the police for?
Mm.
Why are you helping them? Right? Why are
Right.
you helping them? So what I can do my part. Right? That's all I can do. That's all I can do.
Whew. Thank you. Thank you for coming in tonight. We totally appreciate. I know it's late on your end, and we totally appreciate you
all right.
coming in.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And hopefully you come back. Hopefully you come back. Yeah, hopefully you come back. We need you. We need your expertise because
I'm here. I'm here. I'm definitely here.
thank you so much, and see you soon.
Having me. Thank you for having me. Stay well. Stay blessed. You can find me on Ike Speaks on all of the social medias.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Be well.
Thank you.
All right. Peace.
Appreciate you. Yep. Oh man, awesome. A lot of information. You know, I just, man, like I said, I don't have the answer. Y'all claiming y'all got the answer. I don't have the answer at all. You know, Reggie said vote for Biden. That didn't work. Reggie said, Reggie, you don't have the answers. You're done. Biden's approval rating is 44%. We got dead Americans in Afghanistan. It's over. Biden is done. You can't respond to pragmatic common sense to everything Trump. Why are you so infatuated with Donald Trump? You know what I mean? You're so infatuated. You got an obsession with Donald Trump. You always thinking about Donald Trump, man.